to talk about a few things, and I want to talk about this topic of this is titled "How You Move or We Move Differently than the White Boys." Right? As far as being a passport bro, being a black one, at that, the passport bros, as far as the black ones, to be honest with you, we move differently than white men, how they move.
In half a mile, use the second from the right lane to take the I-494 West, Minnesota 5 West exit.
You know what I'm saying? We move differently than the white boys. You know what I'm saying? So I prefer the Philippines, but let's talk about Thailand. I love Thailand. It's a gorgeous, beautiful, amazing looking country, and amazing people and culture and stuff like that. Right? If I'm a trick, I can't.
Use the second from the right lane to take the I-494 West exit.
If I'm going there for like 3 weeks vacation, I can't trick for 2 weeks. I can't trick for no more than 2 days, 3 at worst.
In a quarter mile, use the left lane to take the I-494 West, Minnesota 5 West ramp.
Now, it's beyond crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you're really just tricking the whole trick. You're tricking.
Use the left lane to take the I-494 West ramp.
Other country. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't even make sense. At least with the white boys, they make it look like it's in reverse. So let's say like Muay Thai. I love Muay Thai. The history of Muay Thai. I learned about Muay Thai. Learned about the different fighters, how Muay Thai came to be, and all that sort of stuff, and its significance. You know, that like about the food, the different places within Muay Thai. I want to go to the Tiger Gym. Learn about the different places, the food and stuff like that. Eventually, get down to the women. Women are basically at the bottom of the list. Not to be putting them down, but I'm just making a point. You know what I'm saying? So it's like dang, you know what I'm saying? Like, who wants to waste an entire trip just on tricking? You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. And the white boys, I'm sure they have done it, but at least the perception is that they don't. They are tricking. They join the country. You know what I'm saying? They out there pretty much, enjoying the country. And the guys on the passport side who's out there tricking, you're not really going to these different places, are you? Is that the red light district? You know what I'm saying? And you at at probably like the touristy area. That's where you're like in South America, like Dominican Republic and all those different places. You know what I'm saying? You're just in a tourist area / the red light district. And the truth is, listen, I'm sure these other countries probably talk to each other about it, but the goal is, what they're going to do is get things back to the way it was before passport bros. You know what I'm saying? Like that concept. So they looking at it as lesser of two evils. And the passport bros going to have to kind of accept it. You're seen probably more so as the evil. You know what I'm saying? Because before, it didn't have all this type of notoriety as far as sex tourism. In Brazil, prostitution, unfortunately, is legal. Brothel concept, having a brothel, that's illegal there. You know what I'm saying? Thailand, obviously, is illegal. Obviously, it's never been enforced. Really, you know what I'm saying? So it's an industry. So, like in Thailand, most of the sex tourism is by local men. They got the white men. You know what I'm saying? It's a big, large bulk of money in a sense, because the strength of their currency is more than the Thai baht. You know what I'm saying? So, but when it comes down to it, these other countries are going to get rid of the passport rules, not because for some moral reason, and there's some truth to it, but they really going to get rid of it because it's messing up the game as far as the tricking. I mean, like every 5 years or something, there's a documentary on sex tourism, or these children, who's half-breed children in these different countries. They children of foreign men. You know what I'm saying? You get a documentary, all these talking about all these faceless, nameless men. You don't know who the men are. You know what I'm saying? That's how it is. You know what I'm saying? You guys using the YouTube with how you guys moving, it's bringing light to it, which is good, but it's bringing a certain unique negative a more negative light to it. You know what I'm saying? Brazil know they're wrong for having prostitution legal in their country, although the brothel aspect is illegal. But that proves that they're making a lot of money from it. You know what I'm saying? So it makes sense to be more hush-hush. So, you know what I'm saying? The Philippines, they're making a lot of money off it too, despite it being illegal, but they don't enforce it. So, of course, you know, when it comes down to that, they're going to try to take the lesser of two evils. You're not bringing in the money that the foreigners are bringing in, maybe even locally, really. You know what I'm saying? You're not bringing in that level of money. You're just bringing a higher unnecessary level of attention. So, of course, it's going to look like, you know, under the guise of doing the moral right thing, maybe we should, you know, in a sense, you know, to get you up out of there. You know what I'm saying? Which is what it's doing, but at the same time, they're getting it back to what it was before. Because at least it was quiet and there was a lot of money in there. You know what I'm saying? There was a lot of money, you know, getting from the foreigners and even local men, especially from foreigners. You know, and that's what essentially that's what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? And I know it sounds crazy, I know it sounds messed up, but like I say, you gotta know how you move. You gotta know how to move. And us black men, compared to white travelers and Asians and Mexicans and whoever, you know, particularly between white men, you know what I'm saying, we don't move the same way. You can't keep coming at, oh, the white man been doing this, but he been doing that. Thailand, the bulk of the prostitution out there, or sex tourism, is it's done by the local men of Thailand. Then you got the white men in addition. Yeah, for a long time. But it's already an established system. And like I said, these other countries see you as the lesser, I mean, see you as more of the lesser two evils. You know what I'm saying? But like that's the selfishness of it. They selfish too. You know what I'm saying? Those the white men and all that sort of stuff too. But they bringing in a lot more money in comparison to what you do, to what you bringing in more attention. They bringing in more money, less attention. You bringing in less money, with more attention. And on top of that, you're making it hot because you're getting donations and things like that, which makes it more polarizing and more aware. White boys ain't do that. You know, they have their little, you know, YouTube channels and stuff like that. You can be implied, you know, that this is going on or whatever. But at the same time, you know, they showing other things, aspects of their country as well. You know, and it's not just tricking on women and stuff like that. They are doing that, sure, but at the same time, they showing other aspects of their country. You know what I'm saying? Which proves that they're not, at least in a sense, not totally there for the tricking. But like I said, I've always said, you know, tricking ain't supposed to trick long. You're not supposed to trick long at all. You know, a day or two, and that's it. But that's what y'all been doing the whole time. Y'all just been in the red light districts or the tourist areas, and that's about it. You know, and I know in Thailand there's a community out there with blacks. You know, black men, they got their little area, and that's cool. You know what I'm saying? That's great. But that's really what you guys are at. You guys aren't really going there to travel and enjoy these different countries and places and people. You're not even learning their language. Yeah, at least how the perception with the white dudes, they might be know the language a little bit or whatever, perception-wise, you know what I'm saying? But hey, you know what I'm saying? You know, they already know what they're going there for, you know what I'm saying? At least you can do is bring less attention, you know, so, but yeah, that's my 2 cents on it right there. You know, they getting the passive roads out of there. They make it look like they clean the house and they trying to do the right thing, but really in reality, it's just going to go back to what it was before. They just want to exclude people in the whole concept of the passive road. But like I said, you're bringing in money, but you're bringing in less money in comparison to the white boys. You know what I'm saying? The white boys bring in more money, and they keep quiet about it. That's the way it's supposed to be. Bringing in more attention with less money. The game is to be sold and not told. And we as brothers, we came up with that concept, we got away from it. But clearly the white boys and even the foreigners in these countries,
In 2 miles, take exit 11C for US 212 West, Minnesota 5 West.
They seem to know that better than us. You know what I'm saying? The game is to be sold, not told. And that's where a lot of these guys, a lot of us, you know, seem to mess up at. You know what I'm saying? So Yeah, it's going to be a tough one, you know what I'm saying? But that's the goal, you know what I'm saying? Games to be sold, not told, you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, I think Austin Holloman, he's definitely going to be next. I may even think, you know, O'Shea, Duke Jackson might be next too, you know? But yeah, that's just kind of what that is right there, you know? The game should be sold and not told. You know, when you're out there messing up the game, you're messing up for everybody, you're messing up even for those countries. You know, that's involved in that sort of behavior. So, and, you know, that's something that you can't really do. You know what I'm saying? You know, messing up the game like that, you know what I'm saying? It's just real selfish. You know, the white boys look, in hindsight, they look less selfish than you know, and despite them having all these babies all over the place and things like that. So, like I said, the game would be so not told. That's why it's lasted as long as it has. You know, the last 60 years of tricking overseas or sex exploitation, all these different.
In half a mile, take exit 11C for US 212 West, Minnesota 5 West.
That's why it's lasted as long as it has, 60, 70, 80 years. But here you come, and basically in 3 years' time, you're messing it up. You know what I'm saying? But now, like I say, the other countries, they just going to get rid of you and keep the white boys and keep it how it was before because, you know, that's the way it is.
Take exit 11C.
Like I said, they're not getting no money with you. They're getting the money from them, from the white boys, and whoever else is involved, like Arabs and all that sort of stuff. They're not getting money from you. You know what I'm saying? They getting the money and no real attention. You're just giving them attention. Just so you can so-called live a lifestyle overseas, you know what I'm saying? And it's not really helping. You know? Now, at least if you ain't got no skills and no real, you can't really contribute to the economy, at least be quiet about it and get the money. But you're not really doing that at all, so, you know, here you go. That's why you got the situation in NYC, the future. Yeah, he's roughly pretty much in the same boat. You know what I'm saying? So, but like I said, that just speaks to the power of the concept of the password bros with, you know, brothers struggling and, you know, struggling the way that they are and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, but yeah, you know, his time coming too. I don't think his channel will get probably deleted. I know he's having some problems too, you know, dealing with minors or potentially dealing with minors. But that's part of the problem too, you know what I'm saying? The white boys have been doing it too. They just not online and it's not right, and they will go to jail, you know? But you gotta know how to move. You guys ain't moving, right? Building an audience, like an interactive, engaging audience, you know what I'm saying, on YouTube like this, you know, and like I said, the fans, they ain't really helping you because they giving you money constantly to essentially crash out.
In half a mile, use the right 2 lanes to take the Minnesota 5 exit.
You know what I'm saying, crash out and stuff like that, that's bringing you more attention, bring more attention to the whole thing, you know, and, you know, that's just...
Go past this first exit and use the right 2 lanes to take the Minnesota 5 exit. Then continue on to Minnesota 5 West.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's just kind of what it is. You know, you guys just play right into it. That's why something like this, password bros, only lasts for like 3, 4, or 5 years, you know, at best. You know what I'm saying? Maybe 5 years without no real problems. But, hey, you know, that's kind of what it is. But now it's been only really 3 years past COVID. At best, or 2 years past COVID, you know, that's kind of what it is, you know? And, you know, it's just lasted, you know, as long as it has, you know, and quite frankly, the password bro concept, you know, it's just not fun anymore, you know what I'm saying? It's just not a fun concept, cool concept anymore, and it's just, you know, a lot of these guys struggle doing, you know, like I said, COVID, you know, a lot of thinking, a lot of reflecting on their life, and, you know, struggling and all that sort of stuff, and the fact that COVID, you know, lasted as long as it did, it makes sense that people would try to, you know, go ahead and just try to force a situation like living overseas like this, you know, and just trying to make it work that way, you know what I'm saying? So, instead of just trying to go back to work and everything like that. So, but yeah, that's a big problem. So, but like I said, that's what a lot of these guys kind of, you know, kind of did this. You know, the white boys, they didn't so much had this problem. So to speak, you know. And I think that's just kind of what, you know, what the problem is. So, but yeah, that's, you know, that's just, you thoughts on that, and that's where a lot of this kind of stems from. So, but like I said, a lot of these guys, the goal was just to get monetized. That's what had all the ladies in there, to get the views up, to get the monetization through the women, what I'm saying, and just go to live overseas, and get good enough where you can, basically country hop, what I'm saying, and just live like that, But like I said, you got to work for what you're doing, and that's not fully what it is, what I'm saying? So, yeah, that can only, in a way, last for so long, only so long. So, but it fizzled out quickly as it began. So, it's only inevitable that would happen, especially with, bringing in people like Floyd and things like that. Of course, it was going to lead to people like that and eventually make these sorts of problems. So, but yeah, that's my thoughts on that. And I'm going to catch you guys on the next one.